The war in the Middle East is already having major knock-on effects around the world. Oil prices have spiked, airports have closed, and international shipping routes in the Red Sea have come under attack. Now, the United Nations is warning that the war is putting a massive strain on humanitarian aid flows. The effects on vulnerable people around the world could be catastrophic.
War is hitting centres that are vital to the world's humanitarian aid network. After just 1 week, the conflict has already had serious impacts for the global economy, and it's threatening lives well beyond the region.
What this situation could do is definitely increase the risk of hunger worldwide. This is what happened when global supply chains broke down during the COVID pandemic.
In crisis areas around the world, deliveries of life-saving humanitarian aid have suddenly ground to a halt.
Middle East is a major hub for the world in terms of shipments, so this has ripple effect in every region. For example, we have a humanitarian logistic hub in Dubai, which is one of our main hubs, and all that stock in Dubai is currently not moving, which is normally supporting the entire Middle East or beyond.
The war has been a catastrophic blow for an aid industry already severely weakened by budget cuts and rising prices. With airports and shipping routes coming under attack across the Middle East, the costs of delivering aid are spiking further.
And it's not just the cost; it's also the time. The time factor is quite critical here. And what will happen is that people in dire need of assistance will have to wait longer for food.
We're particularly concerned about Africa, where a region where there are many humanitarian emergencies, such as Sudan or the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Sudan is approaching very shortly the 3-year mark of this terrible crisis, the largest displacement crisis in Africa.
Some aid deliveries are managing to get through, but it's not enough.
Every day that this situation goes on creates a larger supply chain problem for us and for the world. We don't deliver goods from humanitarian cargo. Impact could be lives not saved.
Ricardo Pires is a spokesperson for the UN children's agency UNICEF. Given the disruptions to aid supply chains, I asked him what UNICEF is doing to reach children in crisis zones like Sudan and the DRC.
What we've been always doing, we are present in these countries with our country offices. We have several programs that help children when it comes to protection, health, water and sanitation, access to education, social protection. It depends a lot on the context, but for those two specific ones that you've mentioned, because they've been plagued by violence and conflict for a while, it's very important that we make sure that children are indeed protected, that the children on the move who've been displaced from their homes and have seen things that no child should ever have to see, such as the loss of loved ones, even in some cases their own parents or siblings, that they have the psychosocial support that they need. And we're very much on the ground delivering humanitarian supplies, going to reach children where others aren't reaching because of access restrictions, but also because UNICEF works with several partners and counterparts to make sure that we can do our job. So we're delivering humanitarian supplies, we're delivering life-saving services, and we will continue to do so.
I mean, you yourself will know more than anyone that for children facing malnutrition, every day matters. So with this most likely ongoing war, what does the delay as a result of that mean in real terms for the youngest and most vulnerable people that you're looking after?
That's a good question. It's definitely a risk. We are dealing with unprecedented times since quite a few years now, with many conflicts and climate disasters really pushing children to the edge, putting them at the very sharp end of many different emergencies. And when it comes to malnutrition, you're right, the children are always the first to suffer, and the ones who suffer the most when there are conflicts or any other sort of humanitarian emergency that uproots them, that shifts their childhoods into situations of fear and uncertainty. But, when children start getting malnourished, and we have two recent examples from Sudan and Gaza, Sudan where a famine is still going, and Gaza where we managed to halt famine, where the main issue was really access. It wasn't the fact that we didn't have supplies or even health workers who could help treating those children. It was really the lack of access to the communities and the quantity of supplies that we needed to avert a bigger crisis when it comes to famine and malnutrition. So indeed, it's a very big concern for us to make sure that when an emergency hits, that water and sanitation and nutrition are provided to children, because those are really life-threatening and they can take a child's life very quickly.
Of course. Ricardo Pires, thank you so much for breaking that down for us there.